guys, it's me, Laura Michelle. So today I'm doing something a little bit different from my other videos. Also my posters are a work in progress, if you could even call it that, back here. I'm painting my wall right now, so just ignore my room basically, disclaimer. But today I'm just going to be sewing this back patch onto my battle jacket. It's a new one and it's kind of the first proper one that I've started, so I just want to get working on it so I can start wearing it because it has a substantial amount of patches now. And I'm just going to be discussing a horror movie. I think I'm going to do this semi-regularly really. I'll be doing like fashion, like metalhead fashion videos as well and things like that. But yeah, like that's something I want to start doing with this channel, so I thought why not start today. So then I guess we'll start. So also trigger warnings will be posted right now for this video, so I'll edit that in. So yeah, make sure you read them before you continue. So these aren't necessarily the triggers in my video, but they are the ones for the film, so they will be discussed. Also, I will be using a needle and possibly lighter towards the end of the video, so if they're going to trigger you, then just don't watch. Honestly, like, you know, mind your mental health. Okay, so right, where do we start with this? Basically here, you've read the trigger warnings, like this is a fairly grim film here. So the name of the film is Possum. It's from 2018, but I hadn't really heard much about it, so we were looking for a scary movie to watch the other night, my girlfriend and I, and we just came across this one. So I thought, like, hey, let's give it a chance. So we did, and it was right up my street because it was so like screwed up. Because I'm really into like psychological horror and stuff, so that would be something that's right up my street. But like, it didn't have like classic like slasher movie scares. It was more so just psychological things, and like how they all tied it together. Like, it takes a while to get into those kind of films, but when you do, like, you get into it, you know. So this movie, basically, it was just about this guy. His name was Philip, and it's a British film, by the way. So he's a puppeteer, and like a child puppeteer, and he comes home after a scandal. We are never told what the scandal is. However, we predict that it has something to do with the creepy ass puppet he'd be bringing around. So basically, Philip is depicted as this really weird kind of guy. He keeps to himself, but he's a bit too weird. So you don't know whether to trust him or not till the very end of the movie when everything's revealed. But as it actually is, his puppet is this, like, I don't even know what you call it. It's called Possum, and he has like a book based on it. But it's kind of like, it's a skeleton, and the only way I can describe it is what my girlfriend said. They were kind of like crab legs. He also kind of has been likened to a spider. So basically, this puppet has ruined his life, so we can assume. And he returns home. His mom, I think, and dad were killed in a fire, like a house fire. But they only kind of allude to this, but it's suggested that his uncle has something to do with their deaths. And when Philip comes home, he comes home to his uncle, and his uncle clearly like has beef with him, you know, which is all revealed at the end. But yeah, the uncle just really seems to laugh at him, like anything he says about his career and stuff, and he kind of makes fun of the puppet, but he says that Philip should have kept puppetry up because it's the only thing he was good at. So he's kind of like constantly degrading him, and Philip is tormented by this stuff that just keeps following him. So then also the house is disgusting, might I add. The house is like as if it were when it had been burnt down. Like, clearly this uncle has not been taking care of the house. Well, okay, the thing says like online that it was his stepfather, but he said he was his uncle at the end of the movie, so I was actually quite confused. But yeah, we never got to the bottom of that, so anyway. But yeah, basically it was just really like creepy at the start, you know, but it takes a while to get into it. Also at the start, as you can see in the scenes I'll be playing here, Philip is shown on the train home, and then he's talking to this like little boy who was drawing stuff. He's like a school child, but he doesn't really talk to anyone else during the movie. I mean, he talks to police at one point, supposedly, but that is off camera, so we don't actually know, like, for real, if that was, you know, even who he's talking to. So that's why it's so good psychologically, first off, because it's like, is it all in his head? Like, we're not sure, you know. So following that, then Philip, basically he wants to destroy this puppet, right? Because this puppet has just ruined his life. His whole career is gone. There's some creepy scenes of him like standing outside the school, you know. It gets really like, just, I don't know, just weird. Like, you think he's like, you know, being inappropriate, like with the way he's just standing outside, and even the like principal or whoever it was came into him and he said like, can you like leave, like, are you okay, can I help you with something? And he just kind of stares into the like space and he's like, oh yeah, this used to be my school. So you're kind of stuck as a viewer between this place of feeling sorry for Philip but also wanting the answers that they really hold from you till the end of the film. Like, you do not know what's going on until the end of this movie. So anyway, like, he goes again and again out to the woods, everywhere, in and out, like wherever he's going, you know, any place you can think of really, and he basically just tries to get rid of the puppet, you know. He throws it somewhere. He brings this bag with him, and also the way he walks, I just have to comment on it because it's so creepy. Like, the way he walks with the bag is almost like cartoon-like, like it's so weird. I'll play a clip of it there, but it's just like, I don't know, it's weird. So this whole movie just gives you weird vibes. Also, the puppet is really creepy, and we don't actually see its face until it's kind of like, not particularly a jump scare, but you know, it's kind of this scene where you just kind of, it's a jump scare because you didn't see it coming, but it's not actually like a literal jump scare, if you know what I mean. Like, you're just like, oh, you weren't expecting it. I was like the definition of a jump scare, but anyway. And following this, Philip realizes like he's waking up every day and the puppet just spawns in his room. He has nightmares about this thing. It is crawling around the place looking for him. We don't know at this point though, is it all in Philip's head or is it real? So, which is never actually confirmed in the series. So, series? It's literally a movie. In the movie, so it's never confirmed. However, Philip kind of gets under this other scandal then, where this boy goes missing, and the TV is cut off the first time we watch the news, but then it is later revealed that this is actually like the boy that he was talking to on the train has gone missing, and they're saying that suspects basically fit his description, in a beige coat, all that kind of stuff, you know. So now we're kind of thinking like, okay, is Philip doing some weird stuff here that we're not in on, like, and was he making that puppet because he was, you know, it was like a reflection really of his inner thoughts, but then it came back to bite him. So we're not sure about that at this point in time in the movie. But then his uncle mentions something, and his uncle keeps teasing him as well, by the way. His uncle keeps saying that like they're going to destroy the military barracks that he used to hang around with his friends, and then Philip brings up this fox that his friends when he was younger, they kicked it to death and they made him watch, and then they stuck his head, and it's a really gruesome image of them sticking his head into the rotting body of this fox. And you know, it's just like, it freaks you out because he's crying like a child when he's telling the story, and the uncle is like getting sick, like it's really like, it's perverse, like he's getting like an enjoyment out of this, like Philip's like reliving his trauma, which we're like, okay. So then you start to say like, okay, well obviously we knew from day one the uncle wasn't okay. But anyway, so then Philip actually accuses the uncle of being behind the fire. Like, it's alluded to it, but it's never necessarily confirmed. So then the foxes become this form of continuous imagery in the movie, and it's kind of just like weird because there's this really creepy scene. I'll play it there. The fox, like he's like dead, and you just think like, okay, what are the chances of realistically this fox being here? So is it all in Philip's head? Like, we don't know. So that's the thing that was so enjoyable about it for me, is that it's like you're constantly in this state of like distrust with every single character. You don't know if it's in Philip's head or not. The child's gone missing, you don't know if he did it or not, because we've never seen him commit or not commit the crime, you know. So then following on to that, there's also this thing with the imagery of the green sweets in the film. They seem to be a sort of drug. Some people have different theories about it online, and basically the uncle just keeps offering him one, and Philip seems to really desire these sweets, so it's like he can then hold it over him and he's like, tell me the story again, you can have a sweet. And Philip takes the sweet, so it's almost like a child and parent dynamic, but it's like weird. It's really unsettling, and it's just disturbing because it purely just feels so wrong, even if nothing necessarily wrong is happening other than their like dynamic, which is just off. Yeah, it just gets really weird. But then there's this plot twist in the film, which actually happens to be again related to the boy. So Philip's uncle finds his journal, which had all his kind of drawings about Possum and everything, and the story of it, and it was all about like telling the kids to come out and play because Possum wants to come out and play or whatever. So you think it's kind of creepy because you're like, okay, like why is he asking kids to come out and play? Like, I know he's a child's puppeteer, but like it's just getting a bit weird, especially when he's like, you know, supposedly the man who abused and just killed, possibly kidnapped, I don't know, this boy. He definitely kidnapped, but we weren't sure if he was killed or not at this point. So following this, Philip's uncle finds his journal. His name is Morris, by the way. Probably should mention that. So Morris finds the journal, and he basically, Philip comes home after another attempt of trying to ruin the puppet. You know, there's some really creepy imagery in this whole thing, but especially that part of the film for me. And Morris is just there and he's reading it out as Philip comes home. He's reading out like Possum wants to come and play, whatever. And then Philip kind of gets angry with him, but basically they burn the puppet because Philip realizes like the allegations that he's under, and Morris keeps telling him like, oh, like you should probably, you know, hide out, I'm gonna leave for a while, this house is yours, you can do whatever you want with it, like whatever. So Philip takes him up on it, but he kind of like, it just feels trapped, so he doesn't want to leave this house because he can't leave the house because he'll get like, you know, found out by the police or whatever. But he knows he didn't do it, but he's not really sure. Like, he knows he doesn't remember doing it, but he's like, okay, did I? Like, am I crazy? Because everything in his life at this moment in time just seems to be going into collapse. And that's just like a really powerful like psychological element of the film. So then I don't think Morris actually really leaves. Well, he leaves at the very end, but like not when he said he was going to leave. So then Philip has this really weird scene with Morris where he burns his puppet out the backyard, and he breaks down and he cries, and then Morris said he has no idea and that he's sorry, and it's like he's like seeking approval from Morris, even though he doesn't like Morris, and Morris is a horrible person, so to speak. So it's just like weird how it unfolds, and then he's like, you watch it's character development really is what it is. It's just like he keeps seeking guidance, seeking approval, because he doesn't know what to do with his life at this point. He's having constant mental breakdowns and he does not know what to do. So then finally what happens is that Philip he goes up to the attic. Well, I think it's the attic. It's like his parents' bedroom that he hasn't been in since they died, and apparently it hasn't been changed either. I read online somewhere that, you know, their stuff and everything was up here. So then all of a sudden he gets tackled by this man wearing black, like all black clothes, and we think it's an intruder in the house, but then it actually turns out that this is Morris. So then it comes out basically all at once that Morris was the man who was abusing these kids and kidnapping them, stealing them away, and then Philip opens the trunk once he beats Morris to death, and he finally fights back, which is character development again, like, go on Philip. So then he opens the trunk in the corner of the room, and he finds the boy that he would talk to on the train. So his uncle had actually kidnapped him, but it turns out that he like wasn't dead. He was just like in the trunk for like, I don't know, a week, whatever. They don't really specify there. But yeah, overall it's a really like creepy movie, and it was just, that scene really showed like that the whole thing was a psychological thing about Philip's torment as a child, and how he's a failure, and he comes back and he's just surrounded by the abuse once again, and his whole life has just revolved around this, and now he can't escape it. I thought that was a really powerful thing, like, to add in the film. Like, I just thought like the way that it was executed was brilliant. So yeah, it's definitely like, it was amazing to watch, but it was very disturbing. Like, I will warn you, some of the scenes, even like if you have arachnophobia, like, not that it is even a spider puppet, but it's just like disgusting, so you might want to steer clear of that if you do. But yeah, that's basically all on Possum from this portion of the video. And also, just to finish up on that note, Possum has a rating of 90% with Rotten Tomatoes, 5.8 out of 10 with IMDb, and 64% with Metacritic. So as you can see, guys, relatively good response from the audience there for a psychological horror film. Also, I hope you enjoyed this series. Thank you for watching. Well, you know, the first episode anyway. I'm hoping to do a lot more of these, and I'll get better and better with the research as I go on, because I'd love to more video essay style videos. Also, you can see me using a lighter there in the background to melt off the finishing floss on my patch. So I will show you the result in a minute, and thank you guys so much for watching. See you in the next video.